On a cold October afternoon in Lacey, Washington, 17-year-old Fatima Ali's cries pierced the silence outside Timberline High School. Her parents were enraged by her refusal to go home and get ready to leave on a one-way ticket to Iraq, and for daring to date an American classmate. They launched a violent scene in broad daylight. Her father allegedly strangled her until she went limp, while her mother joined in. Witnesses rushed in, pulling them off as Fatima ran to safety. Authorities later called it a chilling, attempted honor killing. Now charged with attempted murder and kidnapping, her parents sit in a courtroom fighting for their freedom, hoping the jury does not believe the testimony of their own daughter. And tonight, we have all the latest. But first, in the quiet town of Carrollton, Georgia, a place where steeples rise above the oak-lined streets and Sundays are reserved for church and sweet tea, the community was shattered by a nightmare they never saw coming. On the morning of February 20th, 2025, Kristen and James Brock were found shot to death in their bed, their 6-year-old daughter trembling as she discovered the gruesome scene. Their 17-year-old daughter, Sarah Grace Patrick, called 911 in what seemed like a panic. Days later, she stood in front of their congregation, delivering a tearful eulogy that ended with a cryptic, "I'm sorry." The town wrapped her in prayers, convinced she was another victim of tragedy, until the unthinkable happened. Sarah was arrested, charged as an adult with the cold-blooded murder of her mother and stepfather. Evidence, investigators said, pointed to a carefully concealed truth. The church fell silent. Neighbors who had once offered casseroles in comfort now stared in disbelief. Was it grief, guilt, or a calculated mask? In a town rooted in faith and family, the line between victim and villain had never felt so blurred or so heartbreakingly human. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Closing Arguments. And the story we are beginning with tonight is a family tragedy. And it starts with this couple, James and Kristen Brock. Nice folks, live in small town Georgia, church going, part of the community, lots of kids that are growing up, some that are younger, and just living their lives until they were murdered in their own beds. Their bodies discovered by their youngest child. Then the teen daughter makes the call to 911. Her name's Sarah. Sarah, for the next 5 months, is free. She's not under arrest. The investigation is ongoing. It's an unsolved mystery. Who on earth would kill this couple? Why would someone kill this couple in the middle of the night in their own beds as they slept with 2 children in the house? Well, she's the accused killer now. That's her mugshot. That's the accused killer. Sarah Grace Patrick, 17 years old. Should be looking at TikTok videos, should be going to school, should be planning a future, but she's locked up, accused of murder, double murder, taking the lives of her mother and her stepfather. Now, in the middle of all this, I said it's a family tragedy. And think about the position that this man is in. The father of the victim, Kristen, the grandfather of the accused murderer, Sarah. How do you handle this? You are grieving the loss of your daughter, and your granddaughter is the one accused of the murder. Well, tonight you're going to hear from him. You're going to hear from him and the position he's in and what he thinks about the case and what he thinks about his granddaughter. But let's start here. Months before the arrest, Sarah Grace delivered a tearful eulogy at the funeral of her mother and her stepfather. The video was posted on Facebook by a family relative, Kristen Doda. Take a listen for yourself.
I just wanted to say goodbye to my mama and Jamie since we never got the chance to. I was so used to you guys always being here to the point that I never once thought to imagine y'all not being here. I didn't have a single clue how much I needed y'all until now. Although there's nothing we can do to bring them back, we still have control over how we treat people with us today. I love you guys, and so do I. And so do they. I'm sorry.
A lot of people talking about those last two words from the eulogy, I'm sorry. Was she apologizing for something she did? Was she apologizing for fumbling some of the words she was speaking? Was she apologizing for being emotional while delivering the eulogy? I don't know, but a lot of people are talking about that. But let's get back to the man in the middle of this family tragedy. Sarah's grandfather, Kristen's father. Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas joining me live in studio tonight. Cody, there's no other way to describe it other than a family tragedy. And this is the man in the middle of all of it. What does he think about the charges against his granddaughter?
Well, Vinnie, it's interesting because the grandfather, Dennis Nolan, is standing firmly in her innocence. Now, he, of course, is a father of 4. He has 3 sons, 1 daughter. That daughter, we, of course, know Sarah's mom, no longer with us. And, you know, I asked him why he is standing so strong in her innocence. Here's what he had to say.
Here we are 5 months later, here in July. Your granddaughter, Sarah Grace Patrick. She's the one now behind bars facing the charges in these murders. What are the feelings? What are the emotions? And I understand that you're standing by her side. You believe she's innocent.
Oh, I mean, I'm just in total shock. I mean, because she, you know, first of all, the length of time that's passed and the fact that they arrested her without any evidence that I know of, everything seems circumstantial, and I think they were just desperate to arrest someone and to try and, because the case was open for months, a lot of investigation. I know they tried hard to find the murder weapon. They tried hard to find who was involved. They investigated a lot of people. And for them to charge Sarah without, you know, and I'll say this, the investigator told me the day they issued the warrant, when I asked him, I said, well, what proof did, you know, why did you pick on Sarah? He said, well, she's the only one who could have done it. And that's a quote. But and that's, you know, to me, that's not enough proof to throw a 17-year-old girl in jail. And you take a 100-pound girl and you hand her a 9mm pistol and you ask her to fire it, who doesn't have a lot of, I mean, I don't know if Sarah had ever shot a gun before. I mean, you know, she was here, and whenever we shot guns, they were rifles. I never saw her shoot a pistol. But I just can't imagine, you know, the accuracy that gun had in her hands. It just, I don't think it could happen. Mm-hmm. I think that, you know, a 9mm has a recoil, and it's going to, you know, it's be hard for her as a novice to speak of, to fire as accurately as it was fired with the evidence that we know. I just don't think physically she could do it.
So, Vinnie, the important part of that right there that I took from that is he was pretty much saying that Sarah had no gun experience. She was you know, a novice at shooting guns, especially handguns. She might have dropped it if, you know, according to him, if she would have shot it. And again, Vinnie, you have to remember, this is a man who has, of course, lost his daughter this year and now could potentially lose his granddaughter to the justice system. So the emotions are running pretty high in that family right now.
Right, and they haven't found the murder weapon, so there's no weapon in this case. What did he say about the family dynamic? Now, I know for this family, it's a little complicated, right? Because some children are from different marriages.
Right, and so I asked him, you know, because I was trying to see if there was any sort of, even in the slightest, a motive as to why this could have happened. But Mr. Nolan told me that the family was just as normal as any other family. You know, of course, they had their disagreements about things, as every family does, but he didn't see anything out of the ordinary. And he also touched on Sarah's relationship with her biological father as well. Take a listen.
There was nothing, you know, DJ, her father, he's a good person, and he and Kristen got along very well. And you know, they had their disagreements, but they had been divorced for so long that they got along quite well, and they were cooperative, and Sarah would go visit him at times. You know, the statement was made that Sarah was sort of like a nomad, that she lived in different places. Well, that's not true. I mean, she lived with Kristen, my daughter, from as long as I can remember, as long as they owned that house, which was quite a few years. And, you know, she would go stay with her father once in a while. But the only time I know that she moved anywhere was after this murder, and, you know, she needed a place to live. You know, they had their disagreements, just like any teenage daughter would have with a mother. But Sarah was a good kid. I mean, she really was. You know, they're trying to make me lose a granddaughter. It's hard enough losing my daughter. But the thought of losing my granddaughter, you know, she's looking at 70 years in jail. You know, I'm sorry, I'm 78 years old. I'd have to live to be 150 to see her again.
And Vinnie, something else Mr. Nolan told me while I was with him today. He said this family, they were not gun people. They didn't go hunting. And in fact, he told me that James Brock, the stepfather and also another victim in this case, he was a convicted felon, so he wasn't legally allowed to own a gun in the first place. So, and again, like you just mentioned, we know the murder weapon has also not been found.
That's a big fact, right? You know, in a lot of these cases, sometimes there are weapons in the home. Maybe they're hunters, or someone's a collector. But what you're saying is they were not even supposed to have guns in the home. What else did he have to say today?
Well, Vinnie, of course, I asked him, you know, the golden question. He believes so strongly in her innocence. So I asked him, Mr. Nolan, if not Sarah, then who? And of course, you know, he didn't want to go on the record. It's still an active investigation. He didn't want to give away too many details. But here's what he did tell me.
I say that the police have a number of suspects. They have one in particular that I can't go into detail, but I know that they have, you know, they have looked at this person, and I hope that their investigation turns up something positive. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm going to still stand behind Sarah's innocence. I mean, she is just terrified. She's crying every day and calling me, saying, why are they doing this to me? Please help me, get me out of here. It's tough.
So you've spoken to her when we were sitting here when we first arrived. Yeah. You got off the phone with her.
Yeah, she called me. That's the second time she's called me today. And she does. She wants to know what's happening, why nothing is happening. And I explained to her that, you know, the legal process is slow, and she's just going to have to be calm and be cooperative, and just we'll get through this. Mm-hmm. And I know we'll get through it, and they'll find her innocent, because there's nothing there.
And again, Vinnie, Mr. Nolan remaining steadfast there in his granddaughter's innocence, and remaining steadfast in the fact that he doesn't think the police have enough substantial evidence to pin it on Sarah.
All right, Cody's going to stick around, and we've got some more information for us, some more folks you're speaking to on this case. But right now, it's bringing our think tank. Criminal defense attorney Joseph Krowski Jr. with us, criminal defense attorney Eklund Mercy, and you may remember him. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't remember him, especially with that jacket tonight. For the Johnny Depp trial, trial lawyer, fellow of the College of American Trial Lawyers, Ben Chu is back with us. Great to see everyone tonight. Joseph, let me begin with you. This statement that the grandfather made when he spoke with investigators, only one who could have done it. That's what he was told when he asked about the evidence. They're not going to tell him everything, but they were telling him she's the only one who could have done it. What does that tell you about this case and the status of this investigation?
What it tells me is the investigator did not want to share information with the grandfather. You might recall that the Carroll County spokesperson from their law enforcement division conducted a press conference recently and indicated that they took their time in this investigation. And the implication of the press conference was there's a tremendous amount of forensic evidence, She indicated that they had been testing DNA evidence, digital forensic cellular evidence, and that Sarah had been cooperating. So, look, I applaud him. He's standing by his granddaughter because he doesn't know what he doesn't know. But they took 5 months to charge her. So I am sure that they didn't do that lightly, in that there's a lot more evidence that's going to come to light. Certainly the fact that she's the only one that could have done it in and of itself doesn't even rise to probable cause to charge her.
Eklund Mercy, your thoughts. This is Carroll County. This is Georgia. You practice in Georgia. What are your thoughts here about the 5-month investigation? They have no murder weapon that we know of. And you've got a 17-year-old girl accused of murdering her mother and her stepfather.
Yeah, well, I've had trial in Carroll County. I'm well-versed in Carroll County, and they have enough evidence. What you're seeing here is a younger child, so you're looking at her digital footprint. I think people are not aware of how much fame and attention is now like a drug. You know, the fact that she went on social media immediately, the fact that she is craving being seen, the fact that she's making speeches and things of that nature, that's offset by her mugshot, which is absolute evidence. You know that they have above and beyond. In order, first of all, the statute of limitations for murder, there is none. So they have until she is no longer with us to charge her with that crime. They waited 5 months. That means that they have enough evidence. Then we have the grandfather. Of course, you're not going to tell him everything. She's going to need at least one person behind her back to at least support her through this. Carroll County will not charge a 16-year-old white girl from Georgia with murdering her parents without enough evidence. They have a slam dunk case, and it's actually going to be pretty shocking. I don't even know it. I just know that just based off of the indictment, just based off of everything, that they have enough, more than enough. So it's about to be really bad. We're about to see something really, really, really heinous.
I feel like we don't have the whole story yet, Ben. And one of the reasons I say that, when I spoke with the folks from the investigators' office, the sheriff's office, it seemed like the investigation is continuing, that it's not over. There could be other things in play. I feel like the big part of the story has not been revealed yet. What does your gut tell you here, Ben?
Vinnie, good to be with you. I feel the same way, and I agree with Eklund that they probably didn't tell Nolan very much, but it does sound like they told him, as you said, the investigation is ongoing, and that there may be somebody else involved. That doesn't necessarily exonerate Sarah, but it does sound like there may be another shoe to drop.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that will fill in the blanks in all of this, because right now, we just don't know a lot. Not a lot has been revealed. Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, there's a TikToker who does true crime on TikTok who allegedly spoke to the accused killer. Well, Cody Thomas spoke to her. You'll hear what she has to say about her conversation with Sarah Grace Patrick. Plus, coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, she was the elegant Miami matriarch until police claimed she masterminded a murder plot to keep her grandchildren. Now Donna Adelson faces justice in a courtroom where family loyalty turned deadly. Will she be the next Adelson convicted? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates, tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
Two parents face a jury
over the attempted murder of their own daughter.
Court TV takes you inside the trial that's torn a family apart.
The attempted honor killing trial. Live coverage continues Monday morning, only on Court TV.
As soon as I saw there's been an arrest, I was like, oh, great, justice. Someone is going to be held accountable. When I saw the name Sarah Grace Patrick, I had to double take, make sure there was not another Sarah Grace Patrick. No, indeed, it was the one who had reached out to me, emailed me, So I was shocked and horrified. I called the sheriff's office immediately and asked if they wanted the communications from her, which they did.
That's true crime TikToker Janice talking about this case and you know, the reaction, because it was unsolved for 5 months. Nobody knew what happened, who went into this home and killed this innocent couple. Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas back with us here in studio. Cody, you had an opportunity to speak with Janice.
Yeah, Vinnie.
All this.
Yeah. She runs this popular TikTok account, like 500,000 followers, called Allegedly Reportedly. Now, she says in the months leading up to the arrest, she had direct contact with Sarah Grace Patrick. You know, Sarah was asking her to put a spotlight on the case since Janice has such a big following on the platform. Now, she says that the interaction was kind of normal at first. She had compassion for Sarah Grace, given that she had just lost these parents, but her suspicions continued to grow. Take a listen to what she had to say.
I had not heard of this case until Sarah Grace messaged me on June 3rd asking me to cover the Brock case. She went on to explain it was the unsolved case of her parents' murder, her mother, Kristen, and stepfather, James, and it needed a light shined on it. I told her I would certainly look into it. I didn't have much of a reaction yet because I get requests like that all the time. So nothing suspicious. I just felt bad for her and I was very nice to her, which looking back on it is just very strange. But then I told her if she wanted any specific photos included, she could email those to me. So at that point, she emailed me photos and her version of what happened that night. Now, once I read that, there were a few things that I thought a little bit about, but then I said, no. Have compassion. She just lost her parents. This is a child. But when I read that email to my husband, he, not that he's not compassionate, but he immediately said, she did it. And he had his reasons. And I was like, oh my gosh, but she just lost her parents. How could you think that? Turns out his reasons I should have seen in the beginning. But hindsight is something different. Her talking about, you'll get a lot of views if you cover this story. That was very strange. I should have thought more about that. And then in her email to me, which I haven't talked about publicly yet, but I will tell you, she told me she did not hear anything that night. Now, I am hearing other versions of that story that she told other people, but I will say that was one of the things my husband picked up on. How would you not have heard anything?
Now, Vinnie, the plot thickens here a little bit because allegedly, reportedly, Janice is not the only content creator that was reached out to about this case. Now, another content creator, Sally Miley, she runs the account True Crime Mama. Now, she says within days of Janice being contacted, she was contacted by someone who claimed to know Sarah Grace Patrick. Take a listen to her experience.
Actually, I'm in a text group with allegedly reportedly with Janice, with the one who Sarah Grace did reach out to. We were in a text group together and she sent a screenshot of the message that Sarah Grace sent her. And I was like, hold on just a minute. I got an email. And so it was just within days of Sarah Grace reaching out to Janice that I got the email from this other individual trying to find out more information. On June the 8th, an individual reached out to me, emailed me, and said that they had come across a video on Facebook that I had posted on Facebook and asked if there was any other information that I had that I could share. And they went on to say that they were actually in contact with Sarah Grace and that they were trying to help her get more information for her parents. And of course, have no clue who this is, still don't know who this individual is. And I just wrote back and said that there was not anything else that I could share and that I was sorry. And she wrote back again on the following day on June the 9th and said, all good. Are there any people you could put me in contact with? And I just simply responded, no. Then after the arrest, I was curious because I kind of thought maybe this was Sarah Grace, using a different name to email me. So I emailed this person back and asked how they were feeling about the arrest. And clearly it wasn't Sarah Grace because they did respond and they just said that they had so many thoughts and things that they had found and asked me to reply to that email so that they could respond later on with all of their thoughts and feelings, but they never responded. So.
Now, Vinnie, I don't want it to be lost upon anyone. Both of these content creators, both allegedly, reportedly, and True Crime Mama, they both believe, of course, in a fair trial. They both believe an innocent until proven guilty, but they did express to me that their suspicions kind of heightened after those messages were sent to them.
Unbelievable. Fascinating. Cody Thomas, great reporting as always. Thanks so much. Let's bring back in our think tank. Still with us, Joseph Krasik Jr., Eklund Mercy, Ben Chu. Ben, what's your reaction to the fact that this now criminal defendant, accused murderer, in the interim had reached out to true crime, at least one true crime TikToker, and wanting them to put a spotlight on the case? Does it make her look innocent? Does it make her look guilty? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's not good. Obviously, if she were represented, her lawyer would tell her not to do any of that. And it doesn't look good. I mean, it doesn't sound like the action of someone who's mourning her parents. It sounds like someone who is manipulative and seeking publicity.
Eklund, what do you think? She mentioned that she didn't hear anything that night. They were shot in the house. We're taking a look at the house right now. It's a nice house. It's a fine house, but it's not enormous.
Yeah, I think you're just talking to a 17-year-old. What's happening is there's a reason why children and adults aren't charged the same, because of intent, because of follow through. You can tell that she hasn't followed, like she is doing it because of the infamy. Back in the day, victims used to just get famous, right? And I guess with social media and things like that, now we have the villains getting infamy. Things have changed. She trying to contact all of the TikTokers with the highest following, so she can get that exposure. You can see in how she's practiced in front of the church. I wouldn't be surprised if her phone was filled with recordings of her practicing speeches, of her practicing on how to connect with people. But because she's so young, I don't believe that she considered all of it. But I do believe that she's going to milk this and try to get a Netflix special, because you don't lose. It's unfortunate. If your end goal is infamy, I think that that's what she was going for.
Joseph Krasik Jr., we've seen in a recent case that social media can influence public perception of a case. We've seen that. What are your thoughts here?
We have.
Yeah, about what's happening here with this defendant and the way she reached out and was trying to put a spotlight on a case where no one had been arrested?
So look, to augment kind of what Eklund said, there's a reason our Supreme Court in this country doesn't allow 17-year-olds to receive the death penalty or even life without parole without an individualized hearing. It's because there is emergent science on adolescent brain development. We know, and it's accepted science, that 17-year-olds just don't necessarily appreciate the wrongfulness of their conduct. Imagine if she is responsible for this and actually seeking out bloggers to shine light on a crime that she committed, which essentially could have exposed her even further. I think an interesting part of this, and when we hear that she's cooperating, it looks like her attorneys could be engaged in some sort of mitigation. The sheriff's department and the grandfather both seem convinced that there are other persons involved, at least one or two in this. So the motive remains yet to be seen, but I think those second and third parties probably collaborated with her. In the motive being attention or infamy, it would be unusual, but not unprecedented.
Ben, why, if she did it, she's presumed innocent, we all know that, but if she did this, why would she rustle things up and want a TikToker talking about an unsolved case?
Yeah, it's certainly against her criminal interest, and I think it may just be a cry for publicity and the desire for fame or infamy, as Eklund commented. But it's really a horrible situation.
Yeah, well, I guess we have to look at it like Eklund said, and everyone is saying, that it is a 17-year-old, so they see the world a little differently than we do. Let me ask you, Eklund, do you think any of these folks, like Janice, who was contacted by her, gave her a written statement, could now be a potential witness in this murder trial?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is all direct evidence of, covering it up, or it could go to intent. It could go to motive. They're absolutely witnesses at this point to show how she's covering it up. There's so many reasons why this case is so wrong. I don't personally, as a defense attorney, I don't think this should go to trial. However, just based on how much publicity he's gotten, I think she's getting everything that she wants, and that's the sad part.
And according to her grandfather, she's saying she didn't do it. Why am I in here? Why am I locked up? All right, Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about the big trial you're watching on Court TV, the attempted honor-killing murder trial, the latest testimony as this one is getting closer and closer to the end.
I just knew that my dad was choking me.
Okay. Did you feel arms around your neck?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember feeling or touching anything else?
Yes.
What do you remember feeling or touching?
The dirt on my face.
Did you have any fear?
Yes.
About what?
Of dying.
Okay. Are you saying anything?
No.
That's the testimony of 17-year-old Fatima Ali, accusing her father of trying to kill her, trying to choke her to death. He's charged. Her mother is charged. They are on trial. Today, you had some medical experts going in to talk about the injuries that the 17-year-old suffered. Let's take a look.
What did Fatima tell you about what had occurred during the alleged strangulation incident?
She reported to me that she was grabbed by her sweatshirt and placed in a headlock.
Okay, and did she indicate who grabbed her by her sweatshirt and placed her in a headlock?
Yes.
And who was that?
Her dad.
Okay. And what did she say? Did she tell you what happened after being placed in a headlock by her dad?
That she lost consciousness. She reported that she felt dizzy. She reported some numbness.
Did she also indicate anything about what had occurred with her mom as part of the strangulation exam?
Yes.
And what did she say?
She said that her mom grabbed her, put her hands on her neck.
And then what about any memory loss? What did she report about memory loss, if any?
She reported that she was having some memory difficulties. She reported fuzzy feeling like her whole life was flashing before her eyes.
And what about any weakness or numbness? Did she report any weakness or numbness as part of this incident?
Yes.
And what was her response?
She had weakness and numbness during the strangulation.
And what about difficulty breathing? Did she report having any difficulty breathing?
Yes, she did report difficulty breathing.
And did she also indicate what she was feeling or thinking was going to happen to her during the alleged strangulation?
She thought she was going to die.
And what, if any, observations did you make regarding her face or her head or scalp area?
She had some red spots on her face and neck, small red spots, and some abrasions.
All the information that you received from Fatima was her subjective responses to your questions, correct?
It was her response to my questions.
Right, so like you said, you gave her a scale of 1 to 5, and she said 5 on how hard the pressure was, correct?
Yes, she reported in her words, and then I asked her on a scale of 1 to 5.
Okay, so the subjective scale of her saying 1 to 5. Her 5 might be different than my 5.
Correct.
Right, okay. And she She indicated to you that the length of time that the pressure was applied to her was about 5 minutes. Is that right?
Correct.
Does the length of time that somebody is strangled, does that make a difference to you when you do your evaluation?
No.
With regards to the diagnoses that she received, was pneumomediastinum one of the diagnoses?
It was.
Okay, and what is pneumomediastinum?
The mediastinum is here in your chest. It holds your heart, your trachea, your esophagus, and major blood vessels in this area. Pneumomediastinum means that there is air in the mediastinum that got there from, say, a medical incident. If you were intubated, it could have caused some sort of a blunt trauma injury or other means in which this air has escaped from your lungs or your airways somehow, and it's now in the mediastinum.
And did Fatima say anything to you about what her jaw was feeling?
Yes.
Okay, and what does she say about that specifically?
She told me how he had had her by her neck and her jaw, and that as a result, now when I'm seeing her now, that's a couple weeks later, I believe, since the trauma, that she was still she had range of motion, but that she had to move slowly because if she were to move too quickly, it would trigger a pain that she just didn't want to experience.
Let's bring back in our think tank, Joseph Krause Jr., Eklund Mercy, Ben Chu. Joe, what do you think here? Does this look and sound like an attempted murder case to you?
Most serious cases nowadays have some form of video, right? Either ring video or security video footage or cell phone footage, and it really comes down to a matter of interpretation, and that's where the lawyering comes in. This is a difficult case because I have no doubt that the father loves the daughter, but clearly there was a cultural divide here, and it looked like a matter of assimilation, and the daughter had one direction she wanted to go in, and the father had different ideas for her. What concerns me for his defense, he looks fairly disengaged as a participant in this trial. It looks to me like he doesn't really care that he has failed his daughter and has failed his family. And what's even more concerning is, right or wrong, there is a perception in this country, right, that people of Middle Eastern descent subjugate women in their place in their family. So that's a concern to me. It's a close call. The medical testimony was pretty damaging because that is a condition that can be picked up on X-ray, and it usually takes a significant amount of trauma to get that air out of the lungs into the chest cavity. It's a close call. I think it's overcharged. I think it's a serious assault and battery, but intent to murder, not necessarily.
What do you think of Dad's demeanor, Ben?
I agree 100% with Joseph. I mean, you would expect to see contrition. You would expect to see anguish on the father's face when he hears the description of his daughter's injuries. I want to comment on something that was heartening about this, which is the reaction of the Good Samaritans. There were a number of kids at the school who came to her defense. So maybe that's the only small silver lining of this horrible cloud that is this incident.
Eklund Mercy, this is a family that has now imploded, right? They'll never be the same. But what is this jury going to do with this mess that has been delivered to them?
I think this is why jury selection is so important, because it's a cross-section of the community. And we're talking about, honor killings, and we're talking about Islam. And the issue is that there is no support of honor killings in anything in Islam. Any Muslim, most Muslim scholars have condemned honor killings as it is not in, it's not in their repertoire. What I'm seeing is like a weaponized cultural context to essentially just control the girl. He's an abusive man. It was it was premeditated. He wanted to kill her because she was bringing shame to the family. Doesn't matter what culture it is, doesn't matter what religion it is wrong. And they premeditated. The reason why he's disconnected, because he doesn't care about what you guys think. His only concern is what his culture perceives as respectable. He did not want to bring shame to his culture. The amount of crimes I've seen that people commit just so they're not seen as not having control, as doing something opposite of their culture. She didn't want an arranged marriage, so he wanted to kill her. That is it. 1 + 1 = 2. It's not with regards to
what's interesting, though, is we know the jury's never going to be told that, and the jury's not getting that information. They're hearing about a one-way ticket to Iraq. Maybe they put the pieces together, but that specific argument can't be made, but the jury may very well pick up on it. Joseph Krowski Jr., Eklund, Mercy, Ben Chu, great to have you on the program tonight. Thank you so, so much. When we come back, I'll reveal something else you need to know and you need to see, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan investigates a brilliant law professor gunned down in his driveway. Was it a custody battle turned deadly? A tangled web of hitmen, secret recordings, and a wealthy family with everything to lose, and a matriarch accused of the unthinkable. Did Donna Adelson do it? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan investigates. Coming up next, only on Court TV.
Convicted killer Brian Kohberger will learn his fate for murdering 4 Idaho college students and come face to face with the families of his victims.
The sentencing of Brian Kohberger, Wednesday morning, only on Court TV.
Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Caught on camera, surveillance video outside of a smoke shop in St. Augustine, Florida. St. Johns County Sheriff's Office shared this video. A man attempting to abduct a woman from inside the smoke shop while committing a robbery. It's all caught on camera. Let's take a look. She fought for her life and she won. She's okay tonight. The defendant was arrested. He is locked up. Unbelievable. Thank goodness she got away. Take a look at your screens. We have a missing child who needs your help tonight. This is 15-year-old Zachary Hadrava. Zachary missing out of Norman, Oklahoma since July 10th. If you see Zachary, pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference. You can call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Norman Police Department in Oklahoma. That phone number's on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Zachary to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.